Hi there. Welcome to the Daily Affirmation video presentation for this week. I'm your host, David McLeod. What happens when you have a feeling that you classify as unpleasant? In my life, I spent a lot of time and energy trying to avoid unpleasant feelings because they were unpleasant. At least that was a belief I had back then. Not only that, but in my childhood, if I happened to be feeling strong emotions like fear or sadness, and I happened to start expressing them, it wasn't unusual for me to hear things like, "There's nothing to be afraid of. Big boys don't cry. You want something to cry about? I'll give you something to cry about. Man up and quit being a wimp." Maybe you heard things like this too. Well, for me, those words and the unaccepting energy that was driving them served to strengthen my conviction that my feelings were unpleasant. And because I didn't want to hear words like that from anyone in my life, I did my best to hide those feelings, or better yet, not to feel them at all. As I grew up and evolved past my dysfunctional belief systems, I began to allow myself simply to feel these so-called unpleasant feelings. And an important thing I discovered was that the passing of the emotion through my body actually felt very relieving, sometimes even cathartic. And even though the initial stages of experiencing the emotion might have been painful, the overall experience was actually quite enjoyable, maybe even pleasant. For me, this dichotomy is much like having a very intense deep tissue massage. While the pressure on certain parts of my body can be incredibly painful, even to the point where I sometimes find myself crying out, the release that comes from that pressure feels so good, and afterwards my body feels so much more relaxed. Again, the amount of pain I experience is minuscule compared to the amount of pleasure I get out of the whole massage process. So, what I've learned for myself is that there really are no unpleasant emotions. Every emotion has a purpose and a message that it's trying to tell me. It's only when I resist the emotion that any idea of unpleasantness actually comes to my mind. When I'm in a place of imagining my emotion to be unpleasant, that is, when I'm in resistance, that's exactly the moment when I can really benefit from what's happening. That is when I can check in with myself and notice any way that I might be out of alignment with my spiritual purpose for being. And with that awareness, I can take corrective action to change my course, while at the same time relaxing my body into the fullness of the emotion so that it can pass through me and complete its task. This week, be sure to take time to notice when you are judging your emotional state as unpleasant, and see if you can identify what it is that you're resisting. When you find a way to relax into it, you'll be amazed at the affirming message that will come to you. So pay close attention. Have a wonderful week.